Sandra Hall is back, and she is back with a powerful book on relationships. The book is called Fine Lines. There is such a fine line in all of these relationships in this book that it's crazy. I picked the song today, We Have Something in Common, because I'm wondering to myself, who really has something in common in this book? Welcome, author Sandra Hall.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
We have a book here on relationships. Good relationships, bad relationships. What does relationship mean? I'm tempted to look up the word relationship, give it to the audience, and say, hey, what is your idea of relationships? And maybe I should have put it out last night. I'm looking at it now. It says, the way in which two or more concepts, objects, or people are connected, and the state of being connected. Every character in this book is connected, but their connections are not healthy. Where did you come up with the idea and the concept for this book?
Well, when I was writing another book, and the idea came to me, but I wanted to take it into another direction. So, but I still want to do this one as an adult contemporary, and because the other book was more into the paranormal realm, and but I thought these were two different stories, but they were kind of the same in a way, as far as the relationship of the wife and the husband. And so I just went ahead and said, okay, I write this regular one here, and then I go ahead and also finish up the paranormal one also. And but I thought they were different enough, but kind of similar. So I wrote them around the same time.
Okay. Now, which paranormal book are you talking about? Because you have a load of them.
Oh, Scarlet. I thought Scarlet and Fine Lines were kind of similar to a certain point, Well, you read Magic Moons, and Scarlet, was kind of similar too. But
I'm going to have you back out in Scarlet. I'm going to try to squeeze you in the next 2 months because you keep on talking about this book, and I just want to read it. So you wait for an inbox. I know I said February I'm going to have you back, and we're going to do the series, but we're going to have you back within the next 2 months if your time is available for Scarlet, so we can talk about this book. Because I think that's like your favorite, is it?
Yeah. So right now, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to have you back out soon. I'm going to be going through my schedule today. I will be emailing authors to see if they're still available, and you expect an email from me saying, hey, are you available?
Okay.
Now, we have a married couple here. We have Eartha and Clint. They've been married for 13 years. Their marriage hasn't always been the best. Clint has cheated. Eartha doesn't work. She's home. She comes from a family of means. I want to say they've outgrown each other. But I also want to say that Clint never was what he should have been. But Eartha accepted it because he was her husband. And she came from the old-fashioned school of, he's my husband, I have to do. He's my husband, I have to be. Let's talk about it. Am I wrong?
No, you're right. But also, Clint was of the kind, he never revealed who he really was until after they were married. And even then, like you said, she's of the school where when you're married, you stick with it, as long as you can. And she, but he continued to keep going further and further away from what she could really deal with.
Mhm.
And, and then eventually there was something that came to her that helped her to finally open her eyes to say,
Mhm.
well, it's not my fault, that, Clint would tell her, it's your fault. You're not being the kind of woman I want you to be. If you just let your hair down, everything will be fine. But, at one point she had said that's what everybody tells you in the talk shows, that it's your fault if your marriage isn't working, things
Mhm.
like that,
Mhm.
So I think she was doing everything she was supposed to do and more. And but until she was ready to, go ahead and make that away from him, she was going to just be stuck there, just continuing to take it.
I can say, and here's a Sapphire confession, when a person lies to get you, and I feel Clint lied to get her, Eartha, and they pretend to be something they're not. Then when they finally let their head down, you realize that you guys do not have nothing in common, as the song says. You realize you are people and you can survive, but you are different. The way you think is different. The way you are is different. Women will try most of the time, and I'll say this, and it's not only women, because I've known men who've been in this situation too. A person who truly loves that other person will try anything they can to try to be that person that other person wants them to be. The problem is you can never make that person happy because that person doesn't know what he wants or she wants. They just know that they want something. So you trying to do everything to try to make that person happy is not going to work. And it takes you so long to go to that step. We see that with Eartha. We see her, the roughness. She wants to open the windows. She wants light. He doesn't want light. He doesn't want to open the windows. He wants to go to a sex club. She's not about that life. She's not.
Exactly.
You know what you marry. People know who they are, and you know who you get. I'm not going to say people are not going to change, and I'm not saying you can't introduce people to something new, and they not like it. But he knew Eartha was not about that life. If you want to be with somebody who is going to dominate you, marry that domination person. Go for that domination person. If you want to be with someone who is going to rule you and tell you what to do and be rough with you and, let's say it, put a collar around your neck and drag you around like a dog, there's women out there who do that. Don't get with the good girl.
Exactly. See, I think Clint, he wanted, as they say, your cake and eat it too. He wanted a regular wife taking care of things. I think, he, I won't get too much away, but I think, when I was writing him, I was saying to myself, he wants a little wife at home to take care of every little detail for him so he can go out and explore all this other stuff.
Yes.
I was wondering, I was saying, now, if she actually did all those things, would he even appreciate it? I don't think he would have.
No. I can say from my personal experience, I remember my ex-husband said, I like to drink. It's a drink. I like to drink this drink when I go to the bar, and I can't think of the drink right now. So I went out to the liquor store and said, I want to make this drink at home. It was a drink with cream and some kind of liqueur. I went to the bar and bought the ingredients to make this drink. It was cream, and it was some kind of liquor, and it was like the triple sec or something. So I bought these ingredients. Back then we didn't have Google, so I went on the internet and I looked how to make this drink. And I bought top shelf alcohol because I didn't want to buy the cheap stuff. So the next time he told me he wanted to go to the bar, I said, "Well, why?" Because I bought this stuff right here, and I can make this drink for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I made the drink. He
Right.
told me it was the best one he had. Thank you, but now he's going to the bar.
Oh, okay. See?
So it wasn't the drink. And it took me 5 years to realize it's not you.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a while for Eartha to realize it's not you. You are attractive. You are a good woman.
Mm-hmm.
And you really just need someone to discover that. And you need someone to make you feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a while. I'm not going to say that, you're automatically going to find this right away. It takes a
Mm-hmm.
while for you to realize this.
Right.
Clint, I
Mm-hmm.
think, was miserable with himself. He didn't know what he wanted. You're exactly right. He wanted a woman he wanted a good wife at home and to be a slut in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing I loved about Eartha, and she is the main character, I want to let the audience know, whenever her husband was fooling around, she went and confronted the woman. You ain't going to rule my
Mm-hmm.
house. I'm going to tell you
Right.
something. What made you make her so bold? I love it.
Well, I think, I don't usually write about women who are cheapish or afraid of much. They might put up with things, but things they're not going to put up with, they're not. Like she told him he couldn't carry on with anyone in the neighborhood. And I guess he didn't believe her. So he was like, okay, you're not going to listen. I'm going to go do what I got to do, right? And she did what she did, And,
exactly.
I think that as a woman, you have to be the woman. You step up, I know they always say, men and man up, when a woman has to woman up if she intends to have any kind of a life. And I think her boldness was one of the things that allowed her to stay in that relationship. Like she and Clint would get into it, they'll fuss and argue, and she'll tell him what was what, But at the end, like you said, you can keep talking all you want to, but he was going to keep doing what he was doing. But she still had boundaries, And he didn't like, he didn't like using the condom. But she said, you want to have sex with me, that's what you're going to do. And
right.
I think in a way, some things he did, he respected her for it, he didn't try to make her have sex with him without condoms. He knew that's how it was going to be, And, and I think, in any relationship, whether the other person is getting what they want and you're not happy, you still have to put your foot down about certain things, if you're going to be a fulfilled person, And I think before, I don't know if she was even thinking about leaving him before, certain things start happening, But all of a sudden, she was like, this is for the birds, and nothing's going to change,
Exactly. I think what you showed us, and this is what happens in life, you showed us that she tolerated so much. She said, I'm not going to have you fool around on this block. I told you this. So when you said this in the book, we already know now. Clint has done this before. And he has embarrassed her before. But she put her foot down and said, no, not here. Then she said, wait a minute, what's he doing home early? It's the whore from down the block. Oh, yeah, let me go talk about it. Let me go talk to her. And you can't, I love the gangster. Because how
Mhm.
many women would do it? How many women have been cheated on and just walk away? She could have just kicked him out. She could have did so many things.
Mhm.
When he didn't defend her, and I'm not going to tell the incident because I want the readers and I want the listeners to chime in and I want them to pick up the book.
Mhm.
The one time where he didn't defend her, where he was like, you know what? This is not your
Mhm.
place. I told you to leave. Um, don't come here. Don't try to ruin
Mhm.
what I have going on here.
Mhm.
She was done.
Mhm.
Changed the locks, packed up his stuff, doom.
Mhm.
But Clint knew he had a good woman.
Mhm.
He knew he had a good woman. He knew
Mhm.
that he had a good woman. So him trying to come back was not a surprise for us. But the fact that she said to him, we can be friends, but we will never be in a relationship again.
Mhm.
You know, it was just like, okay. Because at first I was like, oh my gosh, she's still going to be friends with him? She's still going to. But you know what? You're right. Don't let people see how bad they hurt you.
Mhm.
Or, you know what? I'm trying to think, the words, come see about me because guess what? Come look at your, I found the words now. The young kids today say, miss me.
Mhm.
Miss me with your nonsense. And that's what it was. Miss
Right.
me with your
Mhm.
nonsense because I'm not coming back to you. And
Mhm.
I am going to move on.
Mhm.
And not only am I going to move on, I want you to come by and see who I moved on to.
Mhm. Yeah. Because she was like, she's moved on. She's finally in a space where she wants to be. You know,
Mhm.
and but she didn't need all that. Oh, I still hate you. I don't want to look at your face and all that stuff. She was like, I'm trying to be happy. All
Mhm.
that other stuff is over. I got rid of that when I divorced you. You know,
Exactly.
and so when, but see, part of the problem was everybody in the story who was doing her wrong kept trying to hang on to her until
Mhm.
she finally had to do something drastic. You know, and I think I've been in that position where you say, well, doggone it, if they won't leave me alone, I just leave them all alone and do what I have to do to get away from it.
Mhm.
Like with her sister, she pretty much told her sister bye just like she did Clint. But she was still a
Mhm.
sister. She still loved her. But and so I imagine in her mind, if I'm not going to let my sister go, why would I let Clint go if he still needs a little? Clint. I don't know if it came across, but he was kind of a simple man in a way. He thought he was
Yeah.
smarter than everybody, but he was kind of simple, and you know, and so I think in a way she probably still felt connected to him in a certain way, but again, like you said, missing with all your mess, You move
Mhm.
on, and I'm going to go over here, and you just quit it.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I think she was with Clint for 13 years.
Mhm.
They had some good times,
Mhm.
and that's why I think she could still be friends with him,
Mhm.
but she just couldn't be in a relationship with him.
Mhm. And like she told Anthony, she goes, we were married. There were things about him that were good. Like
Mhm.
even though she thought it was good at first, where like her relationship with her mother, he was encouraging her. You know, he'd be talking to her, telling her this, and well, we didn't go into the details of it, but
Mhm.
obviously when she would get down about her mama, and he was encouraging her attitude about her mother,
Yes.
and so she thought, in a way, I imagined that he was being supportive, but in
Mhm.
actuality, it's that supportive, keeping you and your
Mhm.
mother apart that way, you know. So yeah, and she told him, we just sit around and talk, everything wasn't the last few years of our marriage.
Right.
And I think in relationships everything's not good and bad. There was a reason you married him. There was a reason he wanted to hang on to you.
Yes.
It may not have been it may not have been good for you at all, but there was still a reason for it. And that's kind of how I look at relationships, especially with family. You say, oh, this family member, I wish you would just go away, but you don't really mean that. When they come back,
right.
you wanna welcome them back, but sometimes you can't. It'll never be the same. So, yeah. I think and that's where the fine lines come in at. It took me forever to even think of the title for this book. I couldn't think of anything. I said, what is going to be the title of this book? And so I just said, fine lines between, the lines you cross or the fine lines that keep you connected, And I said, okay, fine lines. That's the only thing I could think of, and it stuck.
I think you did a great job because it was a fine line, a fine line between Eartha and Kit. Her sister, Viv, let's talk about her. Married to Harvey, an older man, and Harvey was just happy in his spot. He was just happy to have his wife, and Harvey obviously ignored a lot of things that were happening. To me, he knew his wife was fooling around.
You're right.
And he didn't care. He was just happy that she was there when she was there and just go on with your life. If that's what you want to accept, doesn't mean everybody has to accept it.
Right. But then she began to cross the line.
That's what Eartha told, that's what she was saying to her sister, I guess. Just because your husband accepts it doesn't mean everybody has to accept it. Because her sister wanted her to be like a Harvey. She couldn't stand Clint, but then she was like, oh, that's your husband, you might as well go back with him. Oh, just ignore it. Oh, or better yet, you join in it. I don't know how people feel that's okay. Oh, he's fooling around, I'm going to go fool around, and then we'll meet at home. Because her sister said, I brought you out here so you could have fun. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And she's like, I can't believe that you're living this kind of life. And the sister was like so judgmental all the time. You're judging me, and you're doing all this kind of stuff, and look what you're doing.
She was, she's having so much fun. I guess that's what she thought, and everyone else was lame, as she loved to call people. And, and you thinking she wasn't even considering poor Harvey, well, he had his own personal problem, but he took care of that problem, And he told her, I done my part, now you do what you got to do for us to have a marriage. I'm going to, have the consequences of it, But she wanted to act like, he's changing the game all of a sudden. Well, maybe he did kind of change the game or flip the script, but he told her what he was going to accept and what he wasn't going to accept.
Exactly. I think people, when people are being used, and we know that she used Harvey, money, lifestyle, and when they're being used and when they're being put in a place where you're just really throwing it in their face, after a while, they get tired of it. And after a while, they're like, listen, I understand this, and that, but at least show me some kind of respect. And I think that's what Harvey wanted.
You're right. Yeah.
He wanted respect. And that's why he finally put his foot down and said, listen, you're going to respect this house.
Mhm.
And you're not going to be going around doing all this stuff.
Mhm. Yeah. And she got to the point that the household staff knew what she was doing. You can only imagine how you felt if they were like, "Gee, what kind?" Think of the maid. She was disapproving of her. And she didn't really say the words exactly, but you could tell it in her attitude. And you can imagine that had an effect on Harvey.
You know what it was? It was the respect.
Mhm.
You can do stuff and you can do it respectfully. And people don't have to know your business.
Right.
Let's put it that way.
Mhm.
But when you start getting sloppy and just like whatever, it's not good.
Yeah. And see, and I think
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say, and that's what she started doing, getting sloppy.
I think her getting sloppy. Her getting sloppy. I think when Harvey had to really look at it was at the dinner when she was drunk. When she revealed she had been reading the diary and having people follow. She's drunk. Talking too much and all that. She was just getting out of control at that. And I think that was when he had to say, "Okay, you better quit it, Viv."
When people say when you're drunk, that's how you feel, and you say how you feel. I can't really say that. I've been drunk before, and I've said things that I really didn't mean. But when you are drunk and you're loose with your lips, other people are listening. And that's when Harvey was embarrassed. It's okay if you are cheating on me and you're running around and sleeping with men for money. But when I have to hear about it in front of company, when you put our business in the street, it's the end. And that's what she did. And she was laughing about it. So now, not only did she put the business in the street, it's a joke. And she was making Harvey look like a drunk. It's okay. It's like we can have our business in the street, but don't go and tell everybody our business.
And then look at what she was saying about her own sister and her own husband in front of her sister's new boyfriend. And it just came off really as a lot of foolishness and jealousy. But but when you think about it, that kind of talk, for instance, Anthony. I mean, I think if I had been in Anthony's place, I probably would have just left that day and never came back and said, "Bye, Eartha." You know what I'm saying? But see what I'm saying? And she claims that wasn't what her intentions were. But come on.
That's what we know. We know that was her intention because she was jealous. We know Anthony is a looker. You let us know that in the beginning, that Anthony was a looker. Women were drawn to him. He had a great body. He was in that business in the beginning because of how he looked. Even Clyde had said to him, "What is it about you that has everybody going crazy?"
Yeah.
It was the way he looked. It was the way he was.
The way he
that
treated
whole
women.
thing about him.
Yeah.
The way he carried himself.
He gave a woman full attention. Yeah.
So
yeah.
when you have
I
together,
almost forgot who Clyde was. So you brought him up.
Clyde was
Who are you talking about? Okay.
Clyde was just a lover man at the club.
Yeah. Mhm.
And when you have, and he was jealous.
Mhm.
And
Jealous
Eartha
and wanted
said
to
to
use
him,
him.
yes, she said to him,
Mhm.
"Are you happy getting his sloppy seconds?" And he was
Mhm.
just like, "Whatever."
Mhm.
You know, it was basically whatever it takes. I'm still going to get the money at the end.
Mhm.
So if it has to be the sloppy seconds, oh well. So when you were writing Viv's character, what did you want the reader to know, and what did you want the reader to get?
What about Clyde?
No, about
About
Viv,
about
the sister.
the whole. Oh, the sister. Oh, Viv.
Mm-hmm.
Oh. I wanted her to be another person in her life who, in Eartha's life. I wanted people to see that Eartha had a pattern of taking stuff off people that she loved who weren't good for her.
Mm-hmm.
But when and that, but there were things that in regard to Viv, okay, just that she was someone Viv loved, someone that she believed loved her too. So,
right.
To say she's a horrible sister, write her off, but she loves her. They grew up together in the same house. They had the same mother, and they had two different experiences with their mother. And Viv, she would try to be the peacemaker, between the mother and Eartha.
Yes.
And so Viv had there was good things about Viv in her life, as well as her being the jealous type, thinking that every man should desire her. And she really did think that Eartha was lame in her mind.
Mhm.
Viv was very beautiful, sporty. A man look at her, they'd be like, "Oh my God, wow," But
right.
Eartha, she had her little thing going on, but she was more of a average lady. But she was pretty, she was smart, and all this. But Viv just had it, popping. And so,
right.
but Eartha, I want people to show that Eartha, she was down to earth. She knew that in her heart, she figured men would prefer Viv over her. And so,
yes.
when Viv did the ultimate, that betrayal to her, it really hurt her heart. It hurt her spirit when she did what she did. But the only thing that didn't hurt us, the only thing that kept her afloat was that there was something else waiting for her. And I think Viv, I think it shows. I think I wanted people to accept that you can forgive people, but not allow them to keep doing you harm. And because I think, the sister bond, they really love each other, and she never really thought Viv would do that. But then when she thought about it, she'd be like, well, why am I surprised? Why would she, I mean, you didn't think she would do it, but when you think about it, you say, well, why am I surprised after all? She's done everything else, but she's supposed to love me. I'm supposed to be her sister, so why did she do this, And but yeah, I think Viv was somebody there to show the different parts of Eartha and why she allowed things to happen to her in certain ways, and to what point she decided to show, her strength or her intelligence by doing the things she had to do in order to protect herself. That's what I think she was, But and she was more like Clint than Viv and Clint. They were tit for tat,
Yep.
And and they enjoyed each other, but they didn't really like each other, But at some point, Eartha had loved both of them,
She loved
and,
Viv because she was her little sister.
Mm-hmm.
And because she was her little sister, she loved her and she wanted to be with her and she wanted to accept her. But I think Viv was jealous of Eartha She
Mhm.
was jealous that, number one, she was able to pull a man like Anthony, who really loved her.
Mhm.
Number two, she was jealous because Viv was her own person. Not Viv, Eartha was her own person.
Mhm.
She didn't need, she was just a simple girl.
Mhm.
And she was still attractive, and men still wanted to be with her, and she was okay with that. Whereas
Mhm.
Viv went out of her way to look the way she did,
Mhm.
and she still didn't get as much attention as she wanted.
Right.
And you put in the book that she didn't eat sugar because sugar didn't work with her body. She did Pilates. She went
Mhm.
swimming every day. She did
Mhm.
everything to keep up her body. She did everything to make her be the person she is, but she still couldn't pull a guy like Anthony.
Mhm. Right.
So
The most
that
Anthony would
has
say was,
to.
"Oh, that's a okay." Uh huh.
Go
Go ahead.
ahead.
To what now? I'm
She
sorry. Go
couldn't
ahead. Okay.
still. She still couldn't pull somebody like Anthony,
Mhm.
and because she
Not for
couldn't,
herself. Mhm.
exactly,
Mhm.
exactly. Whereas Eartha pulled Anthony simply, the
Mhm.
gas station,
Mhm.
talking to herself.
Mhm. And
She
then
had
she
a
was all
natural
rude to him.
beauty. She was rude to him every time.
Mhm. Mhm.
Rude to him there, rude to him in the supermarket, rude to him at the restaurant.
Mhm. Right.
But he was still
Mhm.
attracted to her because he saw a goodness in her. And I think the goodness in her is what got Viv upset. Because
Mhm.
sometimes you can have a goodness in your soul that other people don't have, and they want it.
Mhm. Yeah. And see, and Viv and Clint, they were sold on this fantasy, you know.
Mhm.
And then they, okay, it's one thing, you had that fantasy side that you enjoy, but they were bringing it into their real lives, you
Mhm.
know. And you can't do that and expect people to accept it, as
Mhm.
part of your real life. And
Exactly.
you see, and I think that's what one of the things that she was jealous about Eartha is that Eartha kept everything as real as she could. Meanwhile, Viv,
Mhm.
to be happy and have fun, she had to go out there and get into this deviant lifestyle, this fantasy world.
Mhm.
And then when she come home, if Harvey say something, she's snapping at the poor man.
Mhm.
and and then wonder why you get in the car and go to somebody else's house just to have a decent conversation. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you can't, he's going somewhere else to get something he needs.
Mhm.
She's going somewhere else to get something she needs. Why
Mhm.
can't everyone just stay at home?
Mhm. Yeah. Yep.
And I think that's what hurt her.
Mhm. Mhm. What was amazing to me is that from watching television and people talking, you know, like like you see it on I don't know Jerry Springer or whatever. This one person come on there to tell their wife that they're cheating, and then as soon as
Mhm.
that wife tells him, "Well, I've been cheating too," they're hurt.
Now he wants to
They're
fight.
fighting mad about it. You know,
Mhm.
how
Mhm.
did you do this to me? You did the same thing. Answer the questions as to why you did it. See, they were,
Exactly.
to me, that's the kind of thing that people don't understand. They're so wrapped up into their own vices and desires and whatever that they want people who are decent and wholesome somewhere in their lives, but they don't think about you need to treat them right, for them to stay there.
Mhm. Mhm. And that was Clint, and that was Viv.
Mhm. Mhm.
You nailed it when you said you want something decent in your life, but you're not willing to be the decent.
Mhm. Mhm. And see, and that's another thing about the book too was that about being decent and like for instance, if you're into that deviant lifestyle, that's your lifestyle, food, fine, whatever, you know.
Mhm.
But if other people aren't into it, you shouldn't draw them into it because you know, okay, like when Eartha, Anthony's family, you know, they had the nerve to
Mhm.
tell her she was indecent because she associated with, you know, her family and her ex-husband. You know,
Mhm.
because of them, they want to lump her in there too. And you know, and Anthony's mother was saying, "You're gonna fall down into the gutter with all of them if you ain't careful and all that."
Mhm.
You know, blah blah blah. And but at the same time, you know, Eartha was like, you know, what you're saying about my family is probably true, but you know, you could be respectful of, you know, of their
Right.
life
It's still
choices
my
because that's
family.
who they are. You know, that's her family,
Mhm.
and Clint was Clint and Viv was Viv. You know,
Mhm.
and she divorced Clint. She separated from Viv for a while. I mean, what more could she do? You know, for his mother to understand that, you know, people are going to do what they're going to do regardless. And Eartha had accepted that. I think she had accepted that with Clint for a while, you know, until, you know,
Mhm.
what he did. He
Mhm.
was like, Clint's Clint. I can't talk him out of it. I can't do anything.
Right.
I'm not going to change who I am to make things, you know, to make him want to act more decent toward me. And because he wasn't, because Clint was going to keep doing it. And if she had gotten into that lifestyle, it was just going to destroy her, you know.
Right.
And
Because
you
Clint
know,
wouldn't have
and
stopped
he,
doing it.
mm-mm. And once it destroyed her, what was he going to do? He wasn't going to help her.
Mhm.
Obviously, he's going to just keep doing it, you know. He'd
Mhm.
already found someone that he wanted to be stuck with anyway. You know, he was already, it's called that thrall thing, you know. He already had his
Yes.
mistress, and he was set to go, whether Eartha was there or not.
Set to go
Yeah.
and ready to assume the position.
Mhm. Mhm. I mean, and you couldn't make him shame about anything. You know, she would say, "How could you be so horrible? How could you be a dog and this and that?" And he'd just say, "Hey, on me." And that was the one thing about Clint that I thought was kind of not redeeming, but you know, that showed his character. He was like, I'm not ashamed of who I am, you know.
Mhm.
And you can keep saying this all you want to, because he really wasn't ashamed of it. But you
No.
know, and he was like, keep being a snob. Keep, you know, he was calling them snobs and this and that and other thing. You know, I mean, he had as much disdain for them as they did for him. You know, he
Mhm.
was like, but he did say, you go do your thing and I'll do my thing, and don't you worry about me because I'm not worried about you. And you know, and to me, you know, that made more sense than to have your
Mhm.
nose turned up and, you know, hating somebody, say I'm not going to have anything to do with you anymore if you don't quit this lifestyle and all that. You know, it made sense to me. You know.
No, he basically said this is the way I am and this is who
Mhm.
I am and this is what I like. I mean, he showed
Mhm.
that to her so well when he picked her up and took her out the house.
Mhm. Right. Mhm. And I just said to myself, now what? Because there was this scene where I said to myself, now what can get her to finally say enough's enough? He's not going to
Mhm.
change. I'm not going to accept this. The one thing that would hurt her the worst, and that, to me, I think that would have been about the worst. Because, you know, he'd already hit her. You know, he talked to her like she was, you know, talked to her any kind of way he wanted to.
He
Uh,
choked her.
but, right.
Mm.
But that was the one thing that hurt her the most in her heart. You know, because after all, she was his wife.
Yep.
You know.
Not only did they
Yeah.
choke her and everything, remember
Mhm.
he beat her with a belt one time. She talked
Mhm.
about the time that he beat her with the belt,
Mhm.
and she
Yep.
said it didn't really hurt. It was more
But
demeaning than anything else.
right. Uh huh. Yep.
So yes, he showed his butt, And he
Mhm.
did so many things to her, and she still stayed with him. And she still
Mhm.
stayed with him because she loved him.
Mhm.
Now,
Mhm.
let's talk about Anthony.
Okay.
Where did his character come from? And what made you decide to make him the person that he was?
Hmm. He came out of the blue, so
Mhm. That's a good
um,
that's a good answer.
I think he was the character that he was because he needed Eartha as much as she needed him. On
Mhm.
the surface, he might have seemed as though he had everything going for him. But the
Mhm.
more you talk to him, the more you realize he didn't. He worked at Ball and Chain. Yeah,
Yes, the
he
ball and
took that
chain.
job at Ball and Chain, something he really didn't want to do, but he needed to do it for his career to pay his bills.
Mhm.
Um, his
Because he was
mother and
starting a new
sister.
photography company.
Now, see, his mother and sister didn't know that, because they were like, when she found out, me and Mom would have helped you. He goes, that's exactly why I didn't tell you, because you would have,
Mhm.
But he was a man. Um, I think Eartha needed a man who was, well, one of the things she was take to Clint about was that he was hardworking, you know, and he would do
Mhm.
almost anything for you except unless it conflicted with his vices. But I think, see, Clint and I think Anthony had similar qualities. I think Anthony was more or less what she would have hoped Clint was, as a younger woman. Again,
Mhm.
he came at her out the blue, told her everything she wanted to hear. He was hardworking, and those are the kind. I guess that's the kind of man that she wanted. I didn't want him to be too totally opposite. I mean, on the
Okay.
surface they might seem very different. You know, I mean, and
Mhm.
Anthony wasn't a deviant or anything like that. He had never hurt a woman. He wouldn't talk to her like she was a dog and all that. But basically, he was a certain type of man that she liked, and but he was true, real, and
Mhm.
and so I think her falling for him wasn't that far too far out, and again he needed certain things from her. He wanted a wife. He wanted someone he could work for. Um, it's probably an odd concept
And
these
he wanted
days.
somebody who was going to be true.
Yeah, and see, he went, and also too, like I said, he was used to his mom and sister, wanting to take care of him, and he wants to look out for his little sister, and this and that. And so when he was ready to have a wife, he wanted someone
Mhm.
that to work for in his own family, you know. Yeah, so when he fell in love with Eartha, I believe he felt like he had hit the jackpot, you know. There was
Mhm.
nobody else for him, you know,
And
and
he
that's the
treated
kind
her
of
that
man
way.
that she needed. Hmm. Yeah, that was the kind of man that she needed in her life.
Mhm. And he treated her that way. He treated her like she was gold. He treated her like
Mhm.
she was special. He told her all the time how much he loved her, how much he cared for her, how beautiful she was,
Mhm.
how the different things that a woman needed to hear in a relationship, and things that Clint hadn't told her in a while.
Mhm. Right.
Because you got to think, Clint, Viv had said it. Clint took away all her self-esteem.
Mhm. Mhm. So
All
when
her self-esteem.
Mhm.
Now, author Sandra Hall, we've come to the end of our show.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not going to take up your whole Saturday, but I think
Okay.
we have managed, which I love, we have managed to talk about your book, and I'm
Mhm.
getting so much better at this, without telling everything.
Right. Mhm.
So I want to tell everybody you want to pick up author Sandra Hall's books. She has a load of them. She will be back in February with her paranormal books, but she will be back before that because we're going to hit Scarlet. Because I love to talk to authors about their favorite books. So I want everyone to pick up the book, Fine Lines. You're going to have so much fun with it. It is relationships. I can ask the author, does she believe in love? But then she shows us in her book she believes in love. It's just that the characters, not all of them, believe in love. The author has out 14 books, author Sandra Hall. How many books do you have out?
Yeah, around there.
She has the Fair Life series, book 1, 2, and 3. We will be covering those definitely in February. She has Into Deep, Once an Outlaw, one of my favorite Western books, More Than a Feeling, Heart of the Outlaw. We got to cover part 2, definitely. Scarlet. This is the author's favorite book, so we will be talking about Scarlet. Just to see him again. The author was on last Sunday, and we talked about this book. Great romance. Just Like My Coffee. Fine Lines. That's what we covered today. And there is a fine line between love, lust, and commitment.
Right.
I think I'll say that. My Heart Always Knew. Cheap Red Wine. Magic Moons. Whew. I read the two paranormal books I read this week was really quite on point, and yours was one of them. I was like really in paranormal heaven, and I'm home today, so I'm going to probably just listen to a paranormal book because I'm just like in paranormal heaven right now. And she also has The Age of 42, Wasted Time, Come Back to Me, and Sunburned. 3 days. And that's it. I think I covered all of them. That's all of them you have on Amazon. Are your books available in paperback?
Huh?
Are your books available in paperback?
Yes.
Okay. Because
all my full links are. All my full links are in paperback, and my novels, they're also in paperback. Now the short stories, all of them may not be yet. I might have like 3 the shorter ones, the 99-cent ones. They might be not in paperback yet. I mean, because I really didn't think anyone wanted to have them in paperback, very short like that, but you never know.
I don't know. I see, as a reader, as an interviewer, I think paperback's coming back. I know the authors are like, oh, yes, yes, yes. I'm going to more book fairs. I'm seeing more book fairs. I see more people are telling me they want the paperbacks. More people are buying the paperbacks. I'm hearing more people saying, I want to hold the book. So even though I am an e-reader, and I think I'm an e-reader because I have had so many books at one time that they practically filled my room. At one time, I had 4 bookcases in a room full, and you just run out of room. And it's like everywhere you go, you have a book. Even paperbacks, I laugh with Arthur Keith because he lives in New York, so we meet all the time. Whenever he comes out a new book, I meet him. I pick up a couple books. I give away the books. And I said to him, almost everywhere I look in my room, if I turn around, there's a book. Because with your name on it. Because I have your books here. And he laughs. But more people are getting into paperbacks. More people are buying paperbacks. So I think more authors, I think you guys are going to see an increase in paperbacks. Do you
Mhm.
have a website that people can go to?
Mhm. Yeah.
Let us know your handles and your links.
www.novelistsandrahall.com.
Mhm.
Mhm. That's me. That's yeah. Oh, and I made that website myself, so I like to tell everybody that because I'm proud of myself.
Oh, that is so
Mhm.
great because I'm getting ready to. A friend of mine, an ex-boyfriend of mine, as a matter of fact, is going to do a website for me, and I was like, um, one of my friends and my son said, you could probably do it yourself. I don't know if it's that I feel that I can't or that I'm
Mhm.
not going to have the patience.
Mhm.
So I want to say, go ahead.
Mhm.
That is nice.
Yeah, I'm sure you can do it. I mean, I know everybody always say this. If I can do it, anybody can. But I
Mhm.
think that's the truth. I'm not the most patient person in the world, and learning
Mhm.
something that I don't know anything about it kills me. But I did that
Mhm.
myself, and that's pretty easy these days to put up yourself. I remember like 10 years ago, I was looking at someone was doing one, and I was like, how the heck they do that, But then things keep getting easier and easier as it goes, So you can probably do it yourself if you wanted to.
Yeah, that's what my friend said. He said, "Oh, I'll build a web page for you." He said, "But that's so easy. I want to get a web
Mhm.
page and I want to get an app." I know a couple of authors who have web pages and apps. So
Mhm.
I tell myself that's what I want. That's my I'm not going to say New Year resolution, but that's my
Mhm.
goal for next year.
Mhm.
The web page and an app so that if you want to book an interview with me, you can just go on my app. You can
Oh,
look
that'd
at
be
the
neat.
calendar
Yeah.
and you can put your name in.
Mm. Mhm.
If I don't have it
Yeah.
booked already, yeah, that would
Oh,
be
that'd be
great,
neat.
right? If I
Yeah.
can get it together.
Mhm. Mhm.
So this way, I can. I think that would be a great way for me to meet new authors. Also,
Mhm.
um, what my recent one of my friends told me, if Facebook went down tomorrow, what would you do?
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
mostly all of my contacts and all my authors are from Facebook.
Mhm.
So I have them all in my books now, and since I do a big calendar, I have all the authors like web pages and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But if I had a business card that said you want to an author, if you want to interview, go to my app. They went to
Mhm.
my app, listened to other interviews because I want to have all the interviews there, and said, hey, I want to interview. Looked at the calendar and booked themselves. I think that would be pretty snazzy.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that would be
So,
nice. Because a lot of times, I'm kind of leery about contacting people on Facebook about stuff.
mhm.
But like you just had an app, and everybody's doing it anyway. Just put it in there, and there you go. Yeah.
Oh, believe me, I've contacted some people. Well, some people have contacted me. Number one, they're not authors or singers or anything. They're weirdos. Um, and I'll say to them, "Are you an author? No. Are you? Do you have a talent?" And I don't know what made me say that because that opened up a can of worms. That, whew,
Oh.
let's just say, the talent is nothing you talk about in church. And they
Mhm.
felt enough to give me a full description and send me a video.
Hmm.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh.
Really?
Okay.
Yes. It was quite, I was like, oh my gosh. So I've learned that lesson. Um, but yeah, it's hard. And I've had some authors who I've contacted who were not sure of me and what I do. So I've had to give them a sample of my show, and they had to listen to a couple of shows, and then they said okay, But I guess they've been contacted by people who do a lot also.
Mhm.
So it happens.
Mhm.
But thank you again for spending your Saturday afternoon with me. Thank you for coming
I
on
was
my
glad
show.
to. Mm-hmm.
I will be contacting you about Scarlet.
Okay, I can't wait.
I can't wait because it's your favorite book and you're so passionate about it, and it makes me want to read it. It's nothing like an author who knows their books. And the books we've been talking about, you've written earlier, and for you to still know the characters and still, because I've had people say to me, "Oh, I don't remember that book." You know, they'll say choose any book. I'll choose a book, and they'll go, "Oh, I don't really remember that book. Can we do something else?" But you've chosen the books each time, and you're just so well versed on it, and it's so great.
Mm-hmm.
And
well,
you can say to me, Sapphire, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, the reason I know my books is that I read them over and over. I love them, so I read them over and over. So now the only thing you tripped me up a little bit, I didn't remember Clive too much. And, I was like, what was his name, Yeah, but, I read my books quite a bit. So, so whatever book you want to, choose, I'll say yeah. So you don't even have to ask me if you don't want to, because I'm well versed in my books. I don't just put them to the side. I mean, they're mine. I keep looking at them. So.
I think the reason why I remember Clyde so much is when Eartha said you don't mind taking his sloppy seconds, and he was like, "Whatever works." And I was just like, "Oof, do you? No shame in your game, So when you get a character that does all of that, it's like, yeah, bring it on.
Right.
So thank you. I'm going to let you go, guys. Let everyone go back to their Saturday. And Author Sandra Hall, I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good one now.
Yes, you too. Good night, everyone.